everyone! Today we are going to be looking at cooperative care in horses. After my experiences working with my pony Millie, I started to look for alternative methods for training and managing challenging situations with horses. This can include things such as medical procedures, but if you have a horse in pain or discomfort, this kind of approaches can be useful even for dealing with daily interactions. So, what is cooperative care? Cooperative care is defined as training an animal to not only tolerate handling and husbandry procedures, but to be an active, willing participant in these experiences. This means that an animal is not being restrained or forced in any way to start or continue a procedure, and they have the ability through a trained behaviour to ask the procedure to stop. This originated as a way of working with zoo animals to help facilitate body health checks and even medical procedures. Here we see an example with a cougar where they have trained him to sit on a scale to get an accurate weight measurement.
Jack, with me?
And here they are showing how he will line up by the fence line for
Line up.
medical procedures. And in this instance, they are practicing with a fake vaccination using pressure from a stick.
Good. Stick. Good. Good. Stick. Good. Good.
This can be applied to much larger animals too. Here we see the lining up by the fence line with an elephant for him to have his tail checked over. This can also be done with equids like zebras. In this final example, we see cooperative care techniques being used for a zebra to have her hooves trimmed. She places her hoof on a platform when she is happy to start the trimming, and if she wants to stop or take a break, she just takes her foot off and the handler stops. This kind of handling has become more common with domesticated animals and pets over the last few years. It is a very popular approach with dogs. Here we see a dog having eye drops given at home. In this example, his headrest with the chin on the towel is the indication he is happy to continue. It is even used by owners in veterinary settings, such as here where the dog is having vaccinations. They build up to the actual vaccination in steps, where he is using the nose to hand target as the indication that he is happy to continue.
Good boy. Yes. Oh, good boy. Cool. Ready for it? Yeah, ready for it. Yes.
So, how can we use this with our horses? Essentially, in exactly the same way. Here we see a horse who previously was extremely needle shy having his vaccinations using a target.
It's anytime now, it'll be fine. Good job.
And here we have a pony having his hoofs trimmed using a mat target. And then being clipped, having only been clipped once previously, again using the hoof on a mat as a target. But as you may realise, this requires some extra work to achieve and might not be what you would naturally do with your horse. So, why should you bother doing things this way? When evaluating animal welfare, experts use something called the five domains model. This is a model that has been developed and refined over a number of years, most recently in 2020. It works on the basis that we should not just be aiming to prevent bad welfare, but also encourage and nurture good welfare in the animals we work with. The five domains breaks down four different areas that affect an animal's welfare: nutrition, physical environment, health, and behavioral interactions. And then these all link to an animal's mental state, which is the fifth domain. When we use cooperative care as opposed to other more dominating methods, we are mostly affecting the behavioral interactions domain, and then as a result, the mental state. As you can see in this table figure taken from the latest Five Domains paper published in 2020, by using more oppressive or domineering approaches, we are going to be causing more hypervigilant, hyperreactive horses that are inclined to attack or withdraw. This in turn causes negative mental affects, which are the mental states that we observe. These include anxiety, fear, panic, insecurity, helplessness, confusion, and much, much more. Instead, by using cooperative care and giving more of a sense of agency back to these animals, we can create positive behaviors with horses that are compliantly responsive and present positive affects, including being calm and confident. In this paper, they even go as far as listing some examples of human animal interactions that are likely to result in negative and positive affects, and the use of physical restraint for aversive management or therapeutic procedures is even listed specifically. So, how do we know this is actually the case, though? There has been some studies done with horses that look at the use of different management strategies in veterinary procedures. But I think the best and clearest example we have is from a study done with a group of zebras. In this study, they trained one zebra to have an injection using cooperative care techniques, resulting in him requiring no restraint. They then compared this to some other zebras who were darted with a sedative in order to give them the injection. They observed the zebras before and after their procedures to create an ethogram, which is essentially a chart showing the relative amounts of time they spent doing different activities. Domino is the zebra who was handled using cooperative care. You can see in his ethograms that he had very similar behaviours before and after the injection. They also measured their respiration rates, and Domino's was almost exactly the same before and after. In comparison, Kianga and Spot were both darted, and their ethograms show a huge difference in their behaviour, with both of them head shaking as well as kicking and biting their companions after the procedure. Also, note the big increase in respiration rate from 14 to 40 breaths per minute for Kianga and 9 breaths to 56 breaths per minute for Spot, indicating this was a very stressful event for them. Clearly, this was a very small study that did not manage to compare a large number of zebras, and it would be lovely to have this same type of study for a large herd of horses to see their responses to different management techniques. However, this is helpful and corroborates what the researchers have said from the five domains model. So we know cooperative care is beneficial to our animals, but what about the benefits for us? Cooperative care doesn't only help improve our horses' welfare, it also improves our welfare when caring for them. By using these methods, we can avoid being in more dangerous situations with our horses, because by giving the horse a sense of agency and choice, they don't feel the need to be aggressive in order to protect themselves from treatments they are scared to receive, or as a stress response after the procedure is finished. Additionally, by giving them the opportunity to request breaks, cooperative care can reduce trigger stacking, which is often the cause of more explosive behaviours that we might otherwise view as the horse being unpredictable. It also has environmental benefits, including reducing the use of sedative drugs for veterinary procedures, as well as the one-use medical equipment needed to administer them. So, in conclusion, cooperative care is a useful management approach where the animal, and in our case horses, have the choice to be willing participants in their own care. It does require some pre training in order to do it, but the benefits to your horse's welfare when you do are huge. I highly recommend looking into this further and trying out some of the training techniques with your own horses. Please don't be discouraged if it takes some time to make progress. Some horses take longer than others to grasp what you're asking for, especially in the early stages of teaching the targeting behaviors. I've included in this reference list some websites with recommendations on how to get started. The key thing to remember when you do progress onto using this for cooperative care management is you must listen when the horse asks to stop or take a break. Otherwise, you will undo all of the good work you have done teaching this. Also, finding a vet who is happy to work this way and potentially take extra time over your appointment is crucial if you want to use it in veterinary procedures. The reality is, by doing this, you aren't just helping your horse in that moment. You're also creating a more confident and less hypervigilant horse who's able to manage better in the long run, too. I hope you found this interesting and helpful, and thank you for listening.